Bрэndon Glэнton, 18-1, 14 wins by knockout, ranked number 6 by the WBO in the cruiserweight division.
But what we need tonight is to be fair. They've been very, very biased tonight. You know, I'm here to watch boxing, to help out. Love hardcore boxing league, but great night of boxing. But they have to be fair when it's all said and done.
We are here to be unbiased and call it as we see it. And
yes.
No one better to be able to let the world know how to do that than you. With your accomplishments, the Hall of Famer, Ray Flores, Floyd, Money Mayweather, TBE, as we have Bрэndon Glэнton and Soslan Asbarov. Asbarov undefeated 3-0, a bare knuckles champion in the light heavyweight division, hardcore boxing heavyweight champion, 3-0 as a professional boxer, a knockout percentage of 33%. Does Asbarov. For Bрэndon Glэнton, he told me earlier, he goes, look, I don't care that this guy has bare knuckle accolades and that, you know, people have such high expectations of him over in this part of the world. He goes, he's not on my level. He's never fought anybody of my caliber. Bрэndon Glэнton coming off a loss at the hands of David Light by split decision back in December. Also has spent some time training under the guidance of Robert Garcia. Garcia not his trainer, but did spend time working with Robert Garcia and Mikey Garcia when Mikey was fighting back a couple years ago. Things got a little bit testy during the weigh-in yesterday between these two. Double jab, they both land heavy shots in the early going. Speaking of cruiserweights, a man who you know quite well just became the oldest cruiserweight champion in history in Badu Jack the Ripper.
Yes, very proud of Badu. Glad that I was able to take a fighter, a young fighter that's very appreciative. You know, a lot of fighters that you help is not appreciative. Badu is very, very appreciative. I'm happy for him. I love him. I'm glad that he's champion again. I'm happy that I was able to put him in a position just to become champion for the first time. And he's champion again, what, this is probably the third time?
Yeah, 3-division world champion.
Yes, and I'm very, very proud of Badu. And if you listen to him, Badu, keep up the great work. I know you live out here, actually, in Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see that. And now we'll see if one of these guys, Bрэndon Glэнton, wants to move up the ranks, and he's ranked number 6 in the world by the WBO. A win here, who knows if, you know, how much that'll elevate him, but he's got to stay winning. He's coming off of a loss, a split decision. He felt that he was robbed in many aspects. But again, you know, when you leave it very much in doubt, that could happen. He was snake bitten, so to speak. We head towards the end of the first round. Coming up, Floyd, next. Our main event is next.
Yes,
so
what we've been talking about all night.
Jarrell Miller, Lucas Brown, the heavyweights going at it. Miller ranked number 11 in the world by the WBA. Brown ranked number 10 in the world.
You know, I really feel bad for Big Baby Miller. I mean, so many fighters, you know, over the years that's been busted for so many enhancement drugs. Of course, things happen. I'm not saying he's right, and things happen, but he should be able to fight again in the U.S.
From what talking with Jarrell Miller this week, you know, he was away from the ring for 43 months. So a punishment was handed down. He served his time.
That's too harsh.
And he
4 years?
He was nearly 4 years. So
I mean, 43 months, still close to 4 years. So 4 years, that's not cool at all.
And also, what his promoter, or one of his promoters, Greg Cohen, told me that he has been tested more than any other athlete that he knows of by VADA on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week since he got reinstated and handed his license back from the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
But remember, Floyd Mayweather got a lot of slack when I first talked about random blood in your intestine. Now everybody want to do it.
I think especially in combat sports, that should be something across the board.
Whenever you compete, if you compete at the highest level, it should be random blood in your intestine.
I completely agree with you. You have to be able to get in the pool, as they say, use whatever body it is. I mean, I'm not going to get into that conversation, but you should be tested randomly. Here we are in the second round, Bрэндон Глэнтон and Soslan Asbarov. So far, it has been a methodical fight in the early going.
Chess match a little bit.
It's the feeling out process. We were used to the past couple fights, Floyd, seeing guys just come out and throw caution to the wind. These guys are actually taking their time to set things up. Looking unloaded as Asbarov. He comes over with an overhand right on the left ear of Bрэндон Глэнтон. I got to tell you, Floyd, the fight that I saw that I mentioned about when Bрэндон Glэнton handed Efe Apochi the first defeat of his career back in June of 2021. What a battle that was, a candidate for Fight of the Year. These two guys just absolutely went at it. So Glэнton does have the ability to stand and trade with a power puncher if need be.
They still both are kind of filling each other out. Second round.
They're only separated by a year. Glэнton is 31. Asbarov is 30. Glэнton taking his time. He's trying to be more of putting Asbarov on his back foot. We'll see how Asbarov reacts to if he can adjust to being more of the counter puncher. Well, there's a left hook that connected for Asbarov. Final moments of the second round.
He's making a bunch of moves. Bрэndon's making a bunch of moves, but he's not really that active. He needs to be more active.
So not only just use movement, but you got to do something behind it. We're on our way to the third round.
Unnecessary movement, he's burning just unnecessary energy for no reason. And that's how you end up getting fatigued.
The one thing about you look at your career, you were economical. You didn't waste much motion. Everything had a purpose. And I hate to keep bringing back your career. You're sitting next to me, so we got to go ahead and talk about that.
Well, I'm not going to shoot a punch unless I feel a fighter is in my distance. If he's not in distance, I'm not shooting no punch. For what? I'm not going to make no unnecessary. Why would I move my head if nobody is shooting punches? So the guy's not even shooting punches, he's moving his head. You don't have to move your head until you shoot punches.
That coming from the Hall of Famer, Floyd Money Mayweather, our main event coming up next. Here's some of the action from the second round. We're on our way to the third.
And of course, as you guys can see, they've been biased all night for the Russian fighters. Not saying that these guys are not fighting hard or putting on a hell of a show, but Bрэndon gonna have to push harder because I'm pretty sure he was in the back watching on the screen that nobody is winning against these fighters.
So you have to leave, make no doubt. Now, Glad his right glove was caught in the rope. The referee in charge, David Irving, missed it because he was out of position, and Asbarov was able to land a couple of shots. Granted, they weren't anything big, but, Glänton was in a precarious position there. There's a nice combination there by Glänton, but he didn't land flush. Neither man has really landed anything flush thus far.
Still the beginning.
Barely into the first third of the fight. We've had a couple of, we've had some decisions over the last few fights, but make no mistake about it, in our main event, both Lucas Browne and Jarrell Miller have both said emphatically the judges will not be needed. Gotta love a good heavyweight tussle, and that's what we'll have in our main event. You know what I like, Floyd?
Well, if you're a bet man,
yes,
it's going to lean towards Big Baby Miller because of the experience.
Yeah, and Lucas Browne turned professional at age 30. Unbelievable. He's 43 now. Baby Miller, former kickboxer who turned professional and, he's been mired in controversy, but again, he paid his price and now he's back. This is his third fight back since that 43-month suspension that he had.
We might as well say 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years, exactly. There's a left hook that connects for Asbarov. There's a right hand over the top by Asbarov. I haven't even looked at it, but I'm curious to see in that main event what the over-under on the rounds are when it comes to that heavyweight matchup.
You can pull it up. You can pull up anything nowadays.
Yeah, I'll bring it up in between the break. I believe there's some blood from or it's the mouthpiece of Bрэндон Glэнton in his mouth. I'd be curious to see if that's blood or the mouthpiece, but I think there might be some blood on the mouth of Bрэndon Glэнton. And look at Asbarov, he's going and talking.
I like to call it the Mayweather defense.
Yes, very much a variation.
Well, I can't call it the Philly shell because I learned that from my dad when I was a little kid. So respect to all the fighters from Philly, but let's call it the Mayweather defense.
You're hearing that from the Hall of Famer, Floyd Money Mayweather, as we end the third round. One that we really haven't seen any guy land anything clean just yet, but key phrase is just yet. Asbarov looks exhausted. Soslán Asbárov, 30 years of age.
We have to make sure we put a very with that. Very exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. And look at Glänton, just like... He's got a busted lip, okay. I was like, I like to be sure on things. I thought, I'm like, oh, maybe it's the red mouthpiece, but he does have some busted lip. But also, you're seeing a little bit of laceration on the nose of one, Soslán Asbárov. Also, Floyd, you know what? For those watching the United States on ProBox TV, I like afternoon boxing overseas. Don't you? I mean, I like being able, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, main events at 4 or 5 o'clock.
I like to watch boxing, period.
That's right, exactly. But I'm saying you're going to get boxing all day, and this is a part of your entire day. Oh, big shot there.
A lot of excitement. You missed it.
I was so busy talking about how much I love boxing during the day, I absolutely missed what was going on in front of me.
It's okay.
Bрэндон Glэнton looking to cut off the ring, attacks the body of Asbarov. Glэнton was moving and he got decked with the right hand on the shoulder. Asbarov has started to adapt a little bit to the aggression of Glэнton. Glэнton seems to be a bit unsure of when to attack and when not to.
Bрэndon needs to come up with his own style. It seems like he's trying to fight like Mike Tyson, which is not working.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, maybe that's just a couple feints or two, but no, it seems like he's trying to implore that Mike Tyson bob and weave, but in order to do that, you got to throw. You can't just use the movement and then not be offensive.
And that's what we talked about a couple rounds ago. All he's doing is just moving his head, but he's not throwing no punches.
And in a situation, Floyd, as you illustrated about how the judges are favoring the Russian fighters to a degree, you can't. And he just got clipped with a left hook as he came forward. Did Glänton. Now let's see if Glänton can go to work. And Asbarov spins him around, goes to southpaw. Asbarov seems to be more the technician, whereas Glänton seems to be waiting for that one big home run shot. Swing and a miss by Glänton.
Джеба нету, Сослан, джеба нету. Что ты его ждешь? Сам тоже поработал. Вот так, да, и опять вот так, хорошо. Вся работа вот такая. Опять передняя рука. Опять передняя рука. Смотри, заряжается. Не оттягивайся назад.
Now a jab for Bрэндон Glэнton. You know, when guys are just sort of looking at each other, I like to just see jabs being thrown. Why not?
From the looks of it, Bрэndon is looking to just come. He came to Dubai to get a payment.
He needs to be able to pick, get more active.
You know, if they got to be commentating, I got to be honest.
As I mentioned, from your, you've been in there, done that.
Yes.
And that'll end the round. It has been largely uneventful, but you got to say that Asbarov has been the more active of the two.
He's boxing. He's doing the boxing.
It's interesting because if you're looking between rounds, Asbarov goes back to the corner. He's getting water poured down his trunks. He looks like he's, totally exhausted. Glänton is relaxed, and he's got a little bit of a mouse underneath that left eye. He is not breathing heavy, but then when the round begins, it flips.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Glänton, it's the fact that you're coming into essentially foreign soil. You're coming off of a split decision loss where the fight was sort of in the balance for you in your last outing in December to David Light. And now you're still leaving it in the balance. It's like, you would think, did he learn something in that loss? Because he was very frustrated from the defeat to David Light. We are on to our next round. Bрэndon Glänton now starting off more aggressive here.
Yes, he is.
Now let's see if he'll go to work. Now left hook to the body by Bрэndon Glänton. But he gets backed off by Asbarov.
Work there, short shot. Keep the right hand up.
Now Glänton looking to unload on Asbarov. Here's where he's got to go to work. There's a left hook by Glänton. He's muscling Asbarov, and Asbarov gets off the ropes, back into the center, but now Glänton chases him down.
He got to come up with his own style. That's not going to work.
He's trying to cut off the ring. He drives Asbarov to the ropes, and he has him there for a couple of moments, but he doesn't do anything substantial. So it's like you pretty much got there, but all for what? And down goes Glänton. Ruled a slip by David Irving, a referee in charge. I always wait because I've seen some egregious calls over the course of my time here ringside.
There you go. There you go. Раз, два, три, не толкайся. Fire off the head with speed. Everything with speed.
He's down for a round.
He's facing an uphill climb as Bрэndon Glänton, and he got tattooed by Asbarov. There's another right hand by Asbarov, who in theory is piling up the points. Another right hand by Asbarov.
I think they both landed good shots right there.
That exchange.
Good exchange, but all in all, Bрэndon is winning the 5th round. If he keeps up the pace, he won the 5th round, but he's down 4. So he's 4-1 after 5. It already depends on how this round goes.
The second half of the fight, it's clear that Glänton has to fight more with a sense of urgency. There's a right uppercut there by Asbarov. Our main event up next.
We talked about that. He fought good.
Oh, there's an uppercut by Asbarov.
He fought good for 2 minutes. Take this whole minute off. End up losing the round because of what the last thing that the judges saw.
It's one of those things. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard told me that he was so adamant that he had it in his mind the last 30 seconds he let his hands fly because that's the last impression that the judges had. And I'm sure you did that throughout the course of your career as well. You probably felt the same thing.
Well, I want to beat you the whole 3 minutes if I can.
Yeah, very true. That's the end of the first half of the fight. We are now entering the second half.
Now you look at that round, that could have been the draw, or it could have been on this side, the red corner.
Ray Flores, Floyd Money Mayweather, TBE here in Dubai. Great hanging out with you, champ, as we are getting ready for our main event of the evening. Happy Saturday to all of you watching at home in the United States, or wherever you are around the world. It's still Saturday around the world, except for what Australia might be on Sunday. Who knows? I'm losing track of time, my friend.
You never know.
But we're enjoying the weekend as we take a look at some of the action from the 5th. And, you know, Glenn's got to get a bit busier on Asbarov. Asbarov he's busy, but he's doing just enough.
Brandon can be a pretty good fighter, but he has to come up with his own style.
When it comes to Bрэндон Глэнтон and Soslан Asbarov, I mentioned Asbarov did beat Dmitry Kudrashiev back in September of last year. Kudrashiev did challenge Unel Dorticos for the cruiserweight champion of the world years ago. Now we are on to round number 6.
Brandon's just getting through the rounds.
He's got to pick up the energy.
He's throwing punches with no meaning. No power, no meaning.
There's a right hand that got through the guard. Now we'll see if he can go to work. He's unloading, and Asbarov pushes him off as to say, come on, keep coming. It's almost like playing possum as Asbarov. Asbarov physically, you would think that Glänton is going to try to impose his will, but Asbarov has been able to push him off with relatively no opposition. Or not much resistance is what I meant.
Brandon is fighting a lot better this round, but I don't want him to fight good just for 2 minutes. And then when he gets to the last minute, he get outboxed.
Chopping right hand.
Or he get outworked.
Asbarov landed a couple of chopping right hands. What would you like to see Glänton do, Floyd? Would you like to see him double up on the jab and set up the right hands and sort of abandon that peekaboo Mike Tyson style?
He has to find himself. After this fight, he has to find out. He has to have his own fighting style. Not just saying that he has to have Floyd Mayweather fighting style. And I'm not against Mike Tyson fighting style. But this is not going to work for him.
But having an identity as a fighter is what you mean. You know, like a style that best suits you.
Yes. I mean, but he's coming on strong in this round. So, second half of the fight could change totally.
Well, Glänton certainly knows that he is in quote-unquote foreign enemy territory. Asbarov looking to unload there, but Glänton uses his distance. One thing, too, I wonder, you know, because is the jet lag affecting Glänton? I mean, I'm sure when you go overseas, you fought overseas, you know, do you go a week before, 2 weeks before? Does that affect you at all, leg-wise or conditioning-wise?
I've never had private jet lag.
I like what you did there. I never had private jet lag. Well, you know, must be nice to be TBE. The rest of us commoners have to fly in the airports.
Well, I'm not against flying in the airports.
Yes.
You know, when I first came to Dubai 20 years ago, I flew Emirates. You know,
Quality airline.
the Emirates, great airline.
Now you have what, TBE Airlines or Money Team Airlines? What's your airline called?
I got a couple planes.
Okay, you got a couple planes.
Yes.
Listen to that, America, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you know, I do want to fly commercial. I don't mind flying commercial. I haven't flew commercial in a while, but I do want to fly commercial. I don't mind flying commercial.
If you were to fly commercial, you would need, like, you know, an offensive line to get you through the airport.
Yes.
I mean, how many guys you got with you today? Like 7 or 8? You're getting mobbed here?
Yes.
Can you imagine you going through an airport?
Yes. Last time I flew was like 15 years ago.
Unbelievable. Hey, you know what? You have earned every penny, my friend. Here we go with action.
Yes.
Bрэндон Glэнton, they're trying to even come close to even a tenth of your paydays, but, you know, Glenn's got to pick it up, you know. You know, Asbarov's doing enough.
Well, there's a little different. It's a little different now. Whereas, I had a different game plan. You know, I was thinking outside the box.
Well, you certainly accomplished it and obviously punched your ticket to the Hall of Fame. And
Truly, truly blessed. And I want to thank everybody who voted for me to go into the Hall of Fame. I want to thank everybody for all the support. But it's about these young guys. Guys like Bрэндон. These bare knuckle fighters. You know, I'm proud of these guys.
right now, they are both going to battle
And
with
we
each
got
other.
them, and we have to thank Hardcore Boxing League for just bringing us, because we support boxing all around the world.
It is great to see what hardcore boxing is doing from a production standpoint,
Yes,
and they're investing in the sport, and that is so important wherever it is around the world. Look, I want to see everyone succeed. Gladly, he was off balance a little bit. The crowd or the corner of Asbarov got excited there. But I want everyone to do well. It's better, you know, I want to see every fighter and promoter do well so that we see the best fighting the best on a regular basis. Left hook. Glänton picking up. A left hook upstairs for Glänton. There's a left hook by Asbarov, chopping right hand.
That was more of a smack, but it landed.
Did make an impression, not on Glänton, but upon the judges, you would think. Oh, there's a shot by Glänton, but Asbarov had his hands down, and Glänton took advantage of it.
You're supposed to let 2 shots go.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Protect yourself at all times. Exactly. There we go. Coming up on a minute to go in the 7th round between Bрэндон Glэнton and Soslán Asbarov. Glenn's got to be thinking, too, look, I'm ranked number 6 in the world in the WBO. When you're ranked top 10 in the world, even right outside the top 10, you could fight for a world title and be a voluntary defense. So this fight is significantly important for him in his ascension, even after a split decision loss to David Light.
He's going to win the knockout to win.
You think he's behind on the cards that much at this point? I'm not a judge, so I'm not. That's why I'm asking you.
At the best, we're going to give him 5-2.
5-2, okay, so yeah, he would need, that means he would need the next 3 to get a draw, so he needs a knockdown at least, but...
And I want to see Bрэndon do good.
You're just calling it as you see it. In the words of one of my very good friends, I know you know him quite well, Joe Cortez, you're fair, but you're firm.
I have to be.
Some shots on the inside between Bрэndon Glэнton and Soslán Asbarov. And that'll end the 7th. For Bрэndon Glэнton out of Atlanta, he certainly has to, you would think, fight with more of a sense of urgency, taking on Soslan Asbarov, Ray Flores, Floyd Money Mayweather here in Dubai. Great to be here at the Agenda Arena. Happy weekend, everybody, wherever you're joining us around the globe. Still, it seems like that lip is, giving Glänton, it's still bleeding a little bit. You're seeing some of the work of Glänton upon Soslan Asbarov. And again, want to thank Hardcore Boxing, Anatoly. I'm not going to try to even say his last name, but what a promoter. A guy who loves to go ahead and...
Well, these names are very, very difficult.
Very difficult. Typically, I'm really good with that stuff, but that last name...
I have to apologize to everybody at home because these names are very, very difficult. So I have to let you do that.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll just say for our promoter, Anatoly, of Hardcore Boxing, he's passionate about boxing. He loves the sport. He's investing in it. And we're seeing events like this here in Dubai. But on to the 8th we go with Bрэндон Глэнтон and Soslan Asbарov, and Glänton fighting more with a sense of urgency. Here's where you were talking about, are we going to see that fire? And it's evident here and now. Asbarov was looking for a timeout. There are no timeouts in boxing. Glänton dig into the body. The physicality has
This is what he should have been doing from the beginning. This is what he should have been doing from the beginning. And then...
Big right hand by Glänton. Well, I think Glänton might have figured, you're talking about, finding himself. I think Glänton might have found himself in that 7th round as we enter the 8th, which better late than never, especially with 3 rounds to go.
I'm pretty sure Bрэндon told me that the guy is very, very fatigued. Press the attack.
Left hook by Glänton. Glänton sitting down in his punches. He's hammering away upon Asbarov. Asbarov eating some heavy leather here in this 8th stanza. Glänton unloading. Look, at the end of the day, all that matters is the final score and the result. No matter how you got there, as long as you get it. A cut on the bridge of the nose of Asbarov. Asbarov is fading, Floyd.
Bрэndon coming on strong. I don't want him to shoot his whole load. He's coming on strong.
We're just over the midway point of the 8th round. Bрэndon Glänton, big left uppercut by the Atlanta, Georgia resident. Big shots here by Glänton. Glänton having his best round of the fight by far. It took him a while to get things rolling, but now Glänton is in control of this 8th round. He is hammering away upon Asbarov. Asbarov is retreating as we are under a minute to go in the 8th. And Glänton's motor, he has a motor, and he is not lessened. He's actually gotten stronger as the fight has progressed. Big right uppercut by Glänton. They're already loading up the towels. They're getting them drenched with ice water to try to wake up Soslan Asbarov. We'll take a look at that in between rounds. They know their man is in some trouble. Glänton coming on.
He's coming on strong.
Look at this, pounding away upon Soslan Asbarov, making it a physically taxing round. A left hook connecting on the right side of the temple of Asbarov. Final moments of the 8th, and that'll conclude the 8th. Asbarov exhausted after getting a pounding in that 8th round. Coming up on round number 9. Well, for Bрэндон Glэнton, it's got to be thinking, look, I'm coming on strong. Let me keep going back to doing what I did in the 8th round. If it's not broke, don't fix it. He finally found a recipe for success. to a fighter is, can you learn to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable? And finally, Bрэндон Glэнton has made Asbarov uncomfortable, and Asbarov did not respond well to that uncomfortability in the 8th round.
Good body shot.
Glänton continuing to hammer away upon Asbarov. Glänton driving Asbarov to the ropes. Now Asbarov trying to turn things around here on Glänton. We got some drama here in Dubai between Bрэндон Glэнton and Soslan Asbarov. Asbarov undefeated.
It didn't start like this, but it's picked up heavy the last few rounds.
Boy, oh boy, they started off very slow and methodical at the feeling out process. That has since dissipated in these final 3 to 4 rounds. It is now becoming a war of attrition between the two. We go back to that, the fact that you and I are NFL fans. It's almost like Asbarov built a 16-3 lead in 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter, and Glänton is surging right now. Blood streaming from the nostrils of Soslan Asbarov.
They won't let him win.
There could be some rather interesting scorecards.
The words from the great Floyd Mayweather. They won't let him win.
You heard it here from TBE. Glänton trying to duck shots from Asbarov. Digging to the body does Glänton. A left hook connecting on the right cheek of Asbarov. Asbarov just holding on, literally clutching, grabbing. Under a minute to go in this 9th round. Now Glänton seems to be sort of dropping his work rate. He might have gotten tired and, as you say, shot his load.
He should be okay.
Comes up with the left hook, but missing is Glänton. Now Asbarov picking up the pace. He has found his second win. Much to the delight of the fans here in Dubai at the Agenda Arena. This is hardcore boxing. Both men unloading some serious leather. And a punch to conclude the 9th. But the left eye of Soslan Asbarov is swelling considerably. 10th and final round we go.
Just with experience. The team that's in his corner.
Yes.
Just with experience. His arms don't supposed to be on the rope. Okay? If they know he's fatigued, why is he coming back to the corner and standing? He's supposed to come back and sit down if he's fatigued. So he can be able to recoup some type of way. So that's totally wrong. Inexperience. The corner man is working the corner with slippers on.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
Последний чемпионский раунд. Поддержим Сослана!
I agree. 10th and final round between Bрэндон Glэнton and Soslan Asbarov. Look at this. They are starting off trading. Asbarov saying, all right, I got to fight fire with fire in this 10th and final round.
He shot his move.
Glänton looking to pick up the pace. The Agenda Arena, you're hearing chants of Soslan, who is undefeated, the bare knuckle light heavyweight champion and hardcore boxing heavyweight champion. He's undefeated as a pro boxer, 3-0. Glänton coming off of his first loss, although a disputed one, back in December of last year. Glänton, though, coming on strong over these last few rounds. A combination there by Asbarov. Glänton has found his way back in the fight, but Floyd, you believe that he will not be given the benefit of the doubt from the scorecards?
I don't believe so. I'm going by what I've been saying all night.
Absolutely, very much an astute observation.
I truly believe we should just be fair. I'm here to watch boxing. I always have to call a spade a spade.
It's refreshing to hear, to be honest. There is no agenda on either behalf, yours or mine. We want to see the best man win and the man who deserves it. But I think this, from my standpoint, yours as well, a close fight.
He's picked it up the last few rounds like we talked about.
Минута до конца раунда, друзья. Давайте встанем всем залом. Давайте встанем и поддержим Сослана. Чемпионская минута.
Asbarov looking to unload. Glenn, keep coming forward. We hope you're entertained wherever you're joining us around the world. Floyd, I sound like I'm calling a horse race, but it is true in these final 27 seconds. Down the stretch we go.
All right, let's go.
Bрэндон Glэнton, Soslan Asbarov, two cruiserweights. Asbarov looking to remain undefeated. Glänton looking to continue his ascension up the rankings. Ranked number 6 above the WBO. Who is going to get their hand raised here tonight in Dubai? No matter what the scorecards, that was a very fun and exciting matchup.
The second half was unbelievable. The first 4 rounds, first 4 or 5 rounds, fill-out rounds. After that, nothing but excitement. Proud of both fighters.
We saw both guys sit down on their punches and just say, you know what? Caution has been thrown to the wind, and we're just going to bang. And that's exactly what they did.
Not my style, but exciting.
Yes, absolutely. You put the science behind sweet science.
Have to. I thought about after my career was over. That's why I'm still able to go out there and generate so much revenue, because remember what I said. It's not about just right now. We have to think about after boxing.
But also, it's the fact that you have all your faculties about you. You're just as sharp now as you always have been.
You know, keep the body in shape. Of course, you got to train the mind.
Well, that's why, as being an observer in boxing, whether you're 50-0 or whether you're a quote-unquote journeyman, we should have respect for every single fighter that gets in that ring, because you guys you're risking your life in there.
One shot can end your whole career. It's not easy. I'm proud of both of these guys tonight. Bрэndon came on in the last few rounds, so they call it a draw. I'm not against it.
I would think, at least, I think enough has been done, and I don't want people to think, oh, you're rooting one way or another. I think enough has been done by Glänton in the second half to warrant a draw. Could I see a split? Probably. Could I see a unanimous based on how the night's going? Yes.
Yes.
But again,
we'll see.
We'll find out. And we are awaiting the scorecards to be tabulated.
One of Bрэndon coaches got the right hat on.
Looks a little bit familiar to you, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, this may have been the fight of the night. A big round of applause for both of these sluggers here in the ring. And now we go to the judges' scorecards. Here are the totals. Judge Andrei Shevelov scores his contest 98-92. Judge Gary Kiraknowski has the bout 97-93. And Judge Daniel Vandewille has the bout 95-95 to the winner by majority decision. From Dagestan, Russia, Soslan Asbarov!
Soslан, we were sitting now with Tyron Woodley, with Antonio Tarver, and all of them told me one thing, that this is the one of the best boxing fight that they have ever seen. Is it true? So, you are still, you are champion. You just defeat the #1 box rec opponent. So, say us a few words.
Добрый вечер, Дубай. Альхамдулилля, по воле Всевышнего одержал этот бой. Здесь мои братья, мои друзья, которые пришли поддержать меня. Всех очень много, всем зрителям. Вы моя мотивация. Если бы не вы, я бы, наверное, не пошел до конца в этом бою. Хвала Всевышнему, я оказался лучший оппонент. Он хороший боксер. Просто сегодня величайший день. Я очень рад, что сегодня одержал победу. Толя, тебе огромная благодарность за эту организацию. Ты знаешь, я к тебе отношусь, и хардкор. Куда мы добрались, и идем только выше. И вместе мы добьемся больших вершин. Спасибо всем, друзья. И отдельная благодарность моему тренеру Али. Если бы не он, этого всего не было бы. Он каждую секунду был со мной, контролировал каждый мой шаг. И только поэтому именно вот этот результат на чуть-чуть побеждаем мы. Спасибо всем. И тебе отдельная благодарность. Всем спасибо.
Сослан, новые имена, новые вызовы.
Имена не важны, важна цель, важно звание чемпиона мира. А там на этом пути какие имена будут встречаться, уже не важно. Мы готовы к любым вызовам. Ты знаешь, я не любитель бросать вызовы. Я готов к любым противостояниям. Будем еще сильнее, это не мой предел. Я знаю, ему Али подтвердит. Мы добавим еще больше усилий, иншаллах.
Сослан Асбаров, дамы и господа, наш действующий чемпион. Tyron, please, Bрэндон.
Guys, we have his opponent, Bрэндon Glэнton. You went out there, you got out to a late start at the beginning, you were finding the timing. You kept the pressure consistently the entire fight, cutting off the ring. You came on very strong in the late rounds. Did you think you did enough to get the job done?
Hey, you know what? First of all, wow. Thank God for giving me here, right? Said thank God for getting me here, right? Okay. Hey, you know, yeah, I thought I did enough to edge it out, you know, but hey, I figured that when I heard the scores, the early rounds was definitely the difference in the fight.
You had a lot of great left hooks, a lot of great right hooks, a lot of great pressure, a lot of great cutting off the ring. What about your opponent made you feel confident in those last rounds to really step it up and push the pace and really apply the pressure?
Well, you know, it's like we said, we got Bulletproof, named Bulletproof for a reason, right? But we knew that he was fast, we knew he was quick out the gate. But Everybody knows I'm a 15-round fighter. We can do this all day long. So, unfortunately, they wiggle, but they didn't fall down. So, congrats to Soslan.
This is definitely the fight that can mold you, push you to the next level. We all need fights like this to push you and really get you out of your comfort zone. You guys put on a great performance. We always entertain. Is definitely a candidate for one of the best fights of the entire card. Congratulations to both of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, great job, Soslan. Dubai. Thank you. Beautiful. I love it.